First, you want to let folks know who you are and what you're doing?
Okay, my name is Ezekiel. I'm from Oak Park, Illinois, and I'm currently an undergrad studying econ and earth and planetary sciences. I'm excited to share this project. But yeah, I'm just like a curious college student.
Did you say Earth and planetary sciences?
Yeah, yeah.
That's
Pretty cool.
amazing. Okay, sorry.
It's neat. It's like oceans and um, atmosphere is probably my focus.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
And where at?
at Harvard.
And my name is Lucas. I'm a rising sophomore at the University of Chicago. I was born in DC, raised in Chicago and Oak Park, and planning on studying political science.
Both from Oak Park. So is that the connection?
Yep.
Yeah, we went to elementary school and middle school and high school together.
Oh, you guys, yeah, that's pretty smart combo there. Okay, so what is your project? And describe kind of how it started and what your goal with it is.
Yeah, so this project is called Crossroads America. And the idea of the project, it kind of started in like the fall when we arrived at college and we noticed that at college in Oak Park, but also really in a lot of this country right now, there's this barrier to having real conversations with each other. And there's this premise that we can't really come and together to have like a real dialogue. Um, and we wanted to take an approach of genuine curiosity to that sort of premise and tackle that notion that we can't have conversations by going out there to all 50 states. We bought a van and we have a few flights to Alaska and Hawaii. And we're going to just go around making videos that are some sort of engaging activity, but also where we can get to know the people we're visiting a little bit better and get to know a lot of those stories that are often uncovered and untold by the media. So through that sort of engagement, we really hope to truly just understand people better. And our thought is that if we can understand where people are coming from, the type of life they live, the hopes that they have, and the challenges they struggle with, we can really understand why some of these differences emerge and realize that a lot of these basic things are pretty universal, and that we're not maybe as different as we're painted out to be at a core level.
So tell me about where you're at in the process right now.
Yeah, so we spent the past many months planning this trip and fundraising, and we are hitting the road this Sunday in 2 days.
Wow.
Yeah, and so we've been planning out videos. Some of them will be spontaneous adventures where we go and, for example, try to get an Amish family to adopt us for a day. And others are very planned out videos where we're going to try to be in touch with the Native American reservation and go and live there for 2 days, because that's a perspective that you don't get to see every day. And we're thinking, how can we get people to be more empathetic towards each other, understand other perspectives for our own sake and for our viewers?
So when will be the length of the travel?
It'll be about 3 months. Yeah, we've been planning this maybe since December, funding it, all of that, and then we'll be done towards basically the end of August. I'll fly in from Seattle and then head right to school.
Oh, very cool. Tell me about the van. I'm very interested in this, and I'll tell you why. So I ran for Congress in 2018 and 2020, and one of the things I was most known for is buying a used Winnebago RV. We called it Sioux City Sioux, threw my logo on the side and just went nonstop. And I lived the van life for 4 years pretty much, just in that thing, driving it from town to town. And during COVID, we went to all 375 towns. We were very safe and cautious and kept our distance and everything, but we were still able to get out there and campaign in difficult times. But tell me about your van and why'd you get the type of van you did?
Yeah, so we want to spend as much time kind of out there in the real world as possible, not staying in hotels, not having the tourist experience, but getting to know genuine people and kind of feeling like we are living as close as possible to them. So it's just more of a video series. And so that's why we went with a camper van. It's got a bed, it's got a fridge, it's got a sink, it's got everything we need for the most part to live pretty comfortably. We still do have our Planet Fitness nationwide membership, so we can take the occasional shower. But yeah, we wanted to the camper van to really feel like we're able to get out there and explore it and be off the beaten path.
Yeah, and then two is just a money thing. We are two college students who fundraised independently for this. And part of it's just like buying a hotel at every single place and flights between every single place would be really expensive.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
logistically works out to be the best.
Have you guys had experience in van life before?
Nope.
Well, they tell you to travel in threes so you don't ever get annoyed of just one person. So good luck.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm very interested in your planning. But I know some of it's planned out, some of it's not. Like, especially when you talk about talking to folks who are underrepresented. What is a strategy you have in going to a place that you may not know anybody and just talking with folks?
I think a lot of it is just relying on the openness of strangers to be able to want to do something with us, and also recognizing that because a lot of these stories are not really told, people are just eager and like happy to share what's going on in their area. One of the videos I'm the most excited for is in West Virginia, or actually right outside in Pennsylvania. Um, we're gonna hopefully go down to a coal mine or do something with coal miners there, and that's
Yeah.
a perspective and a story that's very uncovered. The person who sold us the van has a cousin who works in a coal mine and is very excited to work with us. Things kind of just work out, and I think the mentality is just go for it. I hope that people are willing to share, and what we found is that most of the time, if it doesn't take a lot of effort on their part, or if it's something where we can easily be incorporated into their day, it's super easy to make it happen.
What's your biggest worry as of right now? Because I'm very interested to hear this version and then follow along and to see how close you are at the end.
I mean, I think I can only really speak for myself for this one, but I'm very confident we're going to meet people with really compelling stories. I trust that. And I trust our ability to tell those stories. So now it's about how do we make sure we're utilizing all of that to put it in a package that people are actually interested in watching. Because ideally, this is something that is shown to, I don't know, hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions of people, mainly YouTube and also TikTok and Instagram. And so if we're able to get that reach and really try to bring people together and create a community that is interested in understanding other perspectives and diverse views, then that would be really incredible. So I guess the worry is that that doesn't happen, but I also have faith that we'll make it a reality. So
I think it's going to be, my worry is the exact same thing. And it's just like, I want to put trust in people to be able to watch videos where they kind of hear other things, because the videos and the video titles are normally not going to be political at all. But when they click on the videos, if we're in a Democratic stronghold, there'll be people who hold Democratic opinions, even if they aren't strictly politics or whatever. They're going to have that sort of lean. If we're talking to a rural Pennsylvania coal miner about why they are, super conservative, then we really want to hear that perspective too. But we want to, I mean, my hope, but also my worry is whether or not the audience is willing to not click out when they hear something that they disagree with. And part of that's just really having to hammer in on how are we asking our questions? How are we putting a spin on the video? And how are we maintaining that level of almost journalistic integrity in a way where we're conveying authentic stories of the region?
Do you consider yourself a journalist in doing this?
I think to a certain degree, yeah. I don't know if we've put an exact label on it.
I would say we're filmmakers in it. So we're not here to be like completely neutral, and we don't stand for anything because we have our biases. And I'm upfront that I'm a liberal Democrat, right? And I think that's okay. But I think our like journalistic, or not our journalistic, our filmmaking spin is a place of curiosity and understanding. Because as much as I am a Democrat or vote for Democrats, I also really am just curious about people, and I just want to understand better. It's the outcome will be a little hopefully journalistic, but the approach is like an active choice as like a storyteller to have that curiosity rather than push a narrative.
I asked the question because I'm very big into photography, and there's this debate in photography of how much do you like blend in and just are in the background, or how much are you participate in your work? And I was just curious if you have thought about that, and have you done anything to prepare to talk to people who you have no experience with, like naturally coming from a suburban Chicago researched anything with your mindset or what to ask or anything like that when you go into these places?
I do come from Oak Park. I also did spend 5 years growing up in China. Definitely, I'm used to being outside of my comfort zone, and I've really tried to like meet new people. I think throughout my life, I've had a desire to kind of talk to people who think differently than I do, and kind of approach things with more of a curiosity that I want to lend towards this project. After my junior year, I got an Amtrak rail pass, and I did something where I went west, and I was out there for a month, which included a lot of conversations with people who I like definitely don't agree with, but was curious to hear from. But then the other thing too is college campuses are really a perfect ground for having conversations like that, because I mean Harvard definitely sways liberal, but there is like an active recruitment in some ways of people who have different opinions. I think through that, the people who are conservatives on campus aren't afraid to be conservatives. And I think
Right.
because of that, we're able to have some conversations, or even liberal folks who I disagree with. There's a lot of people who I can disagree with who will hold their ground, and who I can have a productive discussion with on campus. So I think I'm prepared in that way, but there's just going to be a lot where I don't know, and I'm not expected, or I mean, not expecting the difficulty of the situation. So I'm sure there will be difficult moments to overcome with that.
I'm curious too to follow you to see there's obviously the right, left, red, blue, like that, like liberal, conservative, that narrative. But I feel especially this November, it's going to be people who are going to vote and people who are not.
Yeah.
Like that's as important of a debate as anything else that's happening. And so I'm really interested in, like, you're not going to get a lot of people to flip, like just through conversation or anything. You might get you understand why they're voting a certain way, but it's really hard to get somebody to flip and vote the other direction. But I feel the huge debate is getting people interested in voting who wasn't going to vote, tapping into that. That's somebody in campaigns, that's the target that I'm most focused on. And because like, I know when I go door knocking in my district right away, I have these set of questions, and you guys are going to pick up on this too, that you can ask a question because you have no idea where these people's backgrounds, where they're at politically. You can be right a bunch of times when you see somebody right away. You're like, oh, I bet you that person's a Democrat, or I bet you that person's a Republican. But I got so good, especially going to these small towns and not knowing anyone's background, of just asking a certain question. And then that leads me to, oh, okay, we're going to go this way with this. And just to get them going and to find where they're and not knowing where they're at, and just kind of see how long you can take that commonality to have that discussion. Because the minute I would have these great conversations with people, and then they would stop and they go, are you a Republican or Democrat? And then the minute you say Democrat, then you see that switch, and that their facial expressions just completely switch, and that changes everything. And so that's something I'm so excited. I'm jealous of your guys' trip. That's what I'm trying to say. And like, I'm just so excited about the journey you're going to go on so many different levels. But that's one thing that I always took, because I feel so much of politics and being a politician is similar to being a stand-up comedian. And here's the reason why. Because like every night you got to perform, you're traveling, you're tired and all this stuff, but you have to get out there and try to, you do your what I call set, and you have your opener, you have your closer, and you have your three main points. But how you get there is always different every night. And like, that's what my stump speech was like. We held town halls nonstop. I would always open up with a joke to see where the crowd's at, and some would laugh hysterically, some people never laughed, and then like, okay, where can we go from here? And you guys will get that by just talking to so many people, and that this experience is going to be absolutely amazing. I'm excited for you. Where can people follow you?
Yeah, so our website is crossroadsamerica.org, and linked
Okay.
on there is the YouTube channel, the Instagram, and the TikTok, which is where most of our content will be published. The main thing to look out for are these 10 to 20 minute YouTube episodes that will be posted every 3-4 days. We're editing on the road. One of us will be driving, the other will be editing. We'll just switch until we get these videos pushed out. But yeah, you can also follow us on Instagram, and there'll be short form stuff on TikTok. But we'll be pretty consistently giving updates.
And what's your Instagram handle?
Crossroads.America on
Awesome.
Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube.
Is there any books or music or anything that you're kind of like, oh, this seems like a good fit for this trip?
Well, we'll definitely be listening to a lot of music.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I would say, like, I have like a really wide ranging music taste. So we'll explore all sorts of music. Oh, you know what? Actually, we're gonna make music too. We're like creating a song with like 2 country musicians in Nashville to get to understand the city better, and then we'll film a music video. So that'll be kind of fun.
So until then, we'll just listen to other music. And
Until then,
once we create our own song, then that'll just be on repeat.
Yeah, it'll be on repeat
for the first like week or so. Just like the crickets, maybe the road. After that, we can start doing a mix of like language learning audiobooks and the song we created.
For folks like I'm in Iowa. How much in advance will you know that you're going to be in Iowa?
We'll know we'll know a few weeks in advance.
Is it mapped out somewhere, or is it just kind of
we're in Iowa?
It's going to change,
give or take a day or two. We basically know when we're going to be in Iowa.
And do you know where you're going in Iowa?
Probably Western.
Well, hit me up. I'm in Sioux City. Cool. My district borders both Nebraska and South Dakota. So if you want to hit 3 states in one, I'll show you the tri-state area.
That's perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
When it comes to like talking politics with somebody from across the aisle, what is your strategy? Is it a value base? Like, do you think you're just like, hey, you have a strong faith in this, I have strong faith in this, we just don't see eye to eye type of thing? Like, what's your plan now? And I want to ask because I want you to look back on this interview or like just this conversation when you're done to see how close you are to that. What are you hoping to use when it comes to talking with people from across the aisle?
I agree. I mean, I think it'll be interesting to look back on this because we're going to get a lot of experience doing this. I think I would like to hone in on like you mentioned, the values that we share with people. I guess another worry, like you were talking about earlier, is okay, we somehow say that we're both Democrats, and then all of a sudden the connection is just shut down. I want to find a way to make sure that we say we're Democrats and then that doesn't happen. I'm really curious if there's a way that we're able to connect with people on some deep level and then share our identity. And then they realize, okay, there's these 2 Democrat kids from Chicago who are actually really respectful and want to learn about our stories. And that changes people's minds. And so that's what I am hoping for. I do realize that that's going to be challenging.
Yeah. Well, and I think the key here to making that happen is by acknowledging that, I mean, we're not politicians. And like, we're not trying to get them to vote for us or get them to vote for anyone. We're really, I mean, I want to emphasize that this is really a project that was born out of our curiosity about people and not out of our desire to force a connection that's not there. But if it happens to be that way, then that's something we'll kind of take note of and share in our videos about how there are certain values across places where, you know, maybe someone isn't so crazy for believing something on one end and vice versa. You know, that only comes when we have conversations where we're not trying to convince anyone of anything. And we're just asking, why do you think that way? How does that make you feel? What are the things that you struggle with right now? What are the things that you wish were different about your place and about the national system as a whole? Those are the questions we want to ask. And we don't really want to be like, oh, also here's our value and here's how. It's not. For most of the videos, it's going to be kind of just that pure curiosity going at it. And then we'll be able to take away what we take away and hopefully have some really cool understanding of America based on our conversations.
What are the 3 places that you're most excited about going to? Let's go every other one.
Okay, Nashville.
The coal miner one in West Virginia or Pennsylvania.
Yeah. Florida.
Any particular part of Florida?
Yeah, 4th of July, like we're just going to go on a beach. Well, it's more details to be released.
Okay, yeah, I do. Sounds good.
Alaska.
Probably Pennsylvania. The Pennsylvania, the coal miner. I mean, if we're able to get down in the mine, that'd be great.
Yeah.
That's why I'm like tempted because I don't know if we're going to be able to go. It's so much stuff but yeah.
And then I guess I would say my final one is probably Puerto Rico, just because a lot of people growing up in the U.S. don't think about that dynamic. But I imagine we're going to go there and people are going to have very strong opinions. So excited for that.
Yeah. Are you guys bringing up policies as you go out?
It's more that they'll bring up policies. So like I think people want to have their views heard and they'll bring it up. We don't want to force a discussion about politics because it's really just about understanding them. I'm sure policies will come up. It's not going to be the focus, like a specific bill or like we're not going to talk about like IRA as a debate, most likely. Right. But like, will we talk about immigration reform and what people think about that? Like, definitely, yeah. That's Broad stuff, yes. Specific stuff, probably not really. I'm excited to learn about takes on immigration around the country.
Yeah,
Just that debate is always very interesting to see.
And I think we'll probably ask these things when they come up naturally, and a lot of times that people will bring them up and not us, but
region specific.
Yeah, a lot of maybe the policies or the ideas that have become very politicized. I'm curious if we're going to find that actually broadly people have kind of underlying views on them, but they have become something that are, it's constantly a point for people to campaign on. And so I'm kind of curious if we'll discover that sort of dynamic.
Is there anything you're going to keep track of? Like, for me, I'm always interested in seeing where Dollar Generals are located, because tends to be in rural areas and urban poor areas. And to me, I think there's potential for what I call the Dollar General Coalition. I tend to stop in just to talk to folks, people working there, people who shop there. You can learn a lot from stopping at these places. Is there anything like that you guys have that you're thinking about now, or is it just kind of maybe you might pick that up on the road?
Yeah, I'm sure we'll pick some of that up. I think it would be cool if maybe we establish a place like your Dollar General example. I don't know, maybe it'll be gas stations. Maybe that's not specific enough, but we'll come up with something, I imagine. Yeah.
I imagine one thing I'm going to keep an eye out on is like restaurants. What type of stuff is where. It's hard because it's not like it's one store. I think if the one store like a Dollar General, that's a cool example. That stuff we'll probably find along the way, but yeah.
Another thing to think about is just like where food comes from as you travel. Because here, like where I'm from, the district I ran for Congress is the second most agriculture producing district in the country. However, when I was campaigning in a lot of these small towns, the only option to eat was at the gas station. So I would have 3 meals at gas stations. So that disconnect between a place that we grow food that doesn't have food. But I would love to interview you guys when you get done to see what you learned.
Yeah, definitely would love to chat after this. I'm sure there'll be a lot to share.
So 50 states in 3 months?
That's the goal. We'll get to as many as we can hit. Yeah.
Okay. It's also 30 YouTube videos. That's a big part.
Oh, okay.
So it's not gonna be like a YouTube video for every state.
I hope it's a good experience for you all.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. In such a divided country, how can you begin to find common ground?
Hi, my name is Lucas Copeland. Thanks for having me.
Good morning. My name is Ezekiel Wells.
And we started this project called Crossroads America.
Our premise is simple. We can't get people to agree on everything. But what we can do is better our understanding of each other as Americans and find those values that unite us all as human beings.
We're getting a van and we're hitting the road for 2 months.
And we're documenting this whole thing as one big video series on YouTube, TikTok, you name it.
We're seeking genuine human connection. And as we meet people with all sorts of political ideologies, we want to listen with empathy and compassion as we come to better understand their lives. As we explore these stories, we have 3 guiding questions.
First, what's your biggest challenge? Second, what's your greatest dream? And finally, I want to challenge you to think about someone with whom you disagree, someone who is unfamiliar, and find something about them which you respect and admire.
We're doing this because the more we interact with people who are different, the more we get to share those stories with the world, the less different those people actually become.